The Golden Sayings of Epictetus. 4. But I have one whom I must please, to whom I must be subject, whom I must obey, God, and those who come next to him. He hath entrusted me with myself. He hath made my will subject to myself alone, and given me rules for the right use thereof. 5. Rufus used to say, if you have let leisure to praise me, what I say is not. In truth, he spoke in such wise that each of us who sat there thought that someone had accused him to Rufus, so surely did he lay his finger on the very deeds we did, so surely display the faults of each before his very eyes. 6. But what saith God? Had it been possible, Epictetus, I would have made both that body of thine and thy possessions free and unimpeded, but as it is, but not deceived. It is not thine own, it is but finely tempered clay. Since then this I could not do, I have given thee a portion of myself, and the power of desiring and declining, and of pursuing and avoiding, and in the word of power of dealing with the things of sense. And if thou neglect not this, but place all that thou hast therein, thou shalt never be let or hindered. Thou shalt never lament. Thou shalt not blame or flatter any. What then? Seemeth this to thee a little thing? God forbid. Be content and therewith, and so I pray the gods. 7. What say Antisthenes? Hast thou never heard? It is kingly thing, Osiris, to do well and to be evil spoken of. 8. Aye, but to debase myself thus were unworthy of me. That, said Epictetus, is for you to consider, not for me. You know yourself what you are worth in your own eyes, and at what price you will sell yourself. For men all themselves at various prices. This was why, when Florus was deliberating whether he should appear at Nero's shows, taking part in the performance himself, Agrippinus replied, appear by all means. And when Florus inquired, but why do not you appear? He answered, because I do not even consider the question, for the man who has once stooped to consider such questions and to reckon upon the value of eternal things is not far from forgetting what manner of man he is. Why, what is it that you ask me? Is death preferable to life? I reply, life, pain, or pleasure? I reply, pleasure. Well, but if I do not act, I shall lose my head. Then go and act. But for my part, I will not act. Why? Because you think yourself but one among the many threads which make up the texture of the doublet. You should aim at being like men in general, just as your thread has no ambition either to be anything distinguished compared with the other threads. But I desire to be the purple, but small and shining part, which makes the rest seem fair and beautiful. Why then do you bid me, because even as the multitude, then were I no longer the purple. Uh, 9. If a man could be thoroughly penetrated as he ought with this thought, that we are all in this special manner spring from God, and that God is the Father of men as well as of gods, full surely he will never conceive aught ignoble to base of himself, whereas if Caesar were to adopt you, your haughty looks would be intolerable. You will not be elated at knowing that you are the Son of God. Now, however, it is not so with us, but seeing that in our birth these two things are commingled, the body which we share with the animals and the reason and thought which we share with the gods, many decline towards this unhappy kinship with the dead. Few rise to the blessed kinship with the divine, since then every one must deal with each thing according to the view which is forms about it. Those few who hold that they are born for fidelity, modesty, and unerring sureness in dealing with the things of sense never conceive aught base or ignoble of themselves, but the multitude the contrary. Why? What am I? A wretched human creature, with the miserable flesh of mine, miserable indeed. But you have something better than that paltry flesh of yours. Why then cling to the one and neglect the other? 10. Thou art but a poor soul laden with lifeless body. 11. The other day I had an iron lamp placed beside my household gods. I heard a noise at the door, and on hastening down, found my lamp carried off. I reflected that the culprit was in no very strange case. Tomorrow, my friend, I said, you will find an earthenware lamp, for a man can only lose what he has. 12. I reasoned why I lost my lamp was that the thief was superior to me in vigilance. He paid, however, this price for the lamp, that in exchange for it, he consented to become a thief, in exchange for it, to become faithless. 13. And God hath introduced man to be spectator of himself and of his works, and not a spectator only, but also an interpreter of them. Wherefore it is shame for man to begin and to leave off where the brutes do. Rather he should begin there and leave off where nature leaves off in us, and that is that contemplation and understanding and a manner of life that is in harmony with herself. See then that ye die not without being spectators of these things. Okay, I will stop there. I will begin again on 13 next time. Okay, thank you.